I'm very happy to be here at Exponential Finance. While my slides are loading, I will actually maybe cause a little bit of a stir. Loved Amin's presentation, great setup for what we do. However, here's where I would disagree with his point of view. We believe that, yes, we're in a deflationary world because of all of the innovation that's evolving at the same time today. There are 5 platforms evolving, they're all deflationary. And we believe that the public equity markets may be overvalued if you're talking about the indexes, but the most undervalued part of any equity market, and I mean private or public, is innovation in the public markets. Now, consider the source, it's what I do, innovation in the public markets. The other disagreement, however, would be on the yield curve. The last time the yield curve inverted, and was inverted during a very strong period of economic activity, was during the last period of massive innovation. It was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the 50 years to 1929. The yield curve was inverted more than half of the time, with the steepest inversions taking place during periods of the most rapid growth. The innovations back then, of course, were electricity, telephone, and the internal combustion engine. We had until that point never seen such a period of innovation. So we believe, and have believed for some time, that the yield curve will continue to flatten because of this natural deflationary, but good deflationary force at work in the economy enabled by technology, and that the short end of the curve will actually go up, especially when these trade tensions are settled. The short end of the curve will go up relative to the long end, and maybe the entire curve will shift up. And we would not be surprised to see an inverted yield curve and no recession. So with that, I've got my slides, and let's go. Innovation platforms. What do we consider an innovation platform? We center our research on something called Wright's Law. Wright's Law is, and you'll get this sense of exponential growth here, Wright's Law says that for every cumulative doubling in units produced, costs decline at a consistent rate. Mr. Wright derived this formula during the early days of airplane manufacturing, and he noticed for every cumulative doubling in the number of airplanes produced, costs declined at a consistent rate. When costs decline at a consistent rate, prices come down and unleash waves of demand. That's what we're talking about when we talk about exponential growth. You can see in the middle panel here, that's electricity, the start of electricity, and you can see how quickly it spread throughout the manufacturing sector in the United States. And then the third characteristic, so innovation platforms are characterized by declining cost curves, they cut across economic sectors, cut across the world, and the third characteristic is they spawn more innovation. So the innovation platforms that are evolving today, you can see on the right there. We are publishing a paper this week on this chart. And what we're trying to communicate here is we have never been in a period of innovation like we are now. If we were measuring this on the Richter scale in terms of impact on the global economy, this would be a 9 compared to maybe a 5 or 6 in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So you can see you have to look back that far to the late 1800s, early 1900s to see multiple innovation platforms evolving at the same time. So back then, as I mentioned, telephone, electricity, internal combustion engine. Today, we have blockchain technology, deep learning, robotics, energy storage, and artificial intelligence. These innovation platforms are going to impact every sector and are traveling around the world, as Amin and will set us up to understand very, very quickly. So they're going to transform every company and every industry.